Quick Save Club.
Hey now everybody, Buried on Mars here, and welcome to the Quick Save Club episode number 12. What is the Quick Save Club? Well, the Quick Save Club is a PC-focused spin-off of the Cartridge Club, where for 2 months at a time, we choose a retro, classic, or indie PC game to play. During these 2 months, we discuss our experiences as we play the PC game of the bi-month with the Quick Save Club community. Upcoming in April and May, our first game of the Quick Saves Club second season, we will be playing Terraria. And in the months following that, we will be playing Antichamber, Fallout New Vegas, Torchlight 2, and Screamer 2. If any of this sounds like fun to you, hit us up on Twitter at QuickSaveClub, or join us on Discord at bit.ly/QuickSaveDiscord. And you can also hit us up at the forums at www.cartridgeclub.org. At the end of this recording, we will have another major announcement. We had a major announcement last month. This month, we have a second major announcement that you're going to want to stick around for. And a reminder to check out our sister podcasts and their games of the month for April. CC Prime will be playing Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. CC Portable will be playing Mega Man 5 on the Game Boy. And RF Gen is playing Control. For the month of March 2020, we played Duke Nukem 3D, a legendary first-person shooter developed by 3D Realms in 1996. All of the hosts are present, including myself, Josh, and Ryan. And this month, we have 2 guests, Steven Eider from the CatMax Game Podcast and Ramvox from Retro Fandango, who I heard that he actually did play this game. Now, I gotta warn you, these guys are a little bit of jokers. There might be some jokes about spelling mistakes, and that. Just don't worry about it. Everything was fine in the spelling. They get a little, a little carried away. Okay, so that's enough of an intro. Let's wrap up Season 1 of the Quick Save Club and talk about Duke Nukem 3D, where we will start with some fun facts.
Who would like to read the first fun fact? Richard, I know you enjoy your fun facts so much. How about you give us the very first fun fact? Yeah, open it up. Open up that outline.
How far do I scroll down here? Because I'm going to look at all this stuff. What if I read your intro, huh? What are you going to do then?
No.
I personally like doing the intro live, so I'm with you on that one.
Reminder to check out our sister podcasts.
Don't make me edit. Just read the fun fact.
It's far too late. Fun facts. Duke Nukem 3D was released January 29th, 1996, developed by 3D Realms. This was the third game in the Duke Nukem series. The previous 2, the grammar and capitalization are totally off in these fun facts. The previous 2 were 2D platformers. Don't step on my toes, I'm reading here. The game was developed on a budget of roughly $300,000 with a team of 8 people for part, increasing to 12 or 13 people near the end.
For part.
Wait,
for part.
Was this copied off of Wikipedia?
I just read it as my hosts presented it to me.
Steve, give us the second fun fact, please and thanks.
The original DOS version of Duke Nukem 3D was a commercial hit, selling about 3.5 million copies in the USA alone. The game received many console ports, including the Sony PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. The Nintendo 64 also received a port with most of the sexual references removed. The dancing girls wear a lot more clothes, and the porn shop is changed to a comic shop.
Fun fact.
What was the name of the comic shop then?
Probably just comic shop.
Yeah.
I don't think I think I played the Nintendo 64 version like briefly, but only because I wanted to try like split screen or something on it. It was I don't know. It wasn't as enjoyable.
You spelled receive wrong too.
Are we going to talk about this game, or are we going to pick on Wikipedia? Like, come on.
Yeah, Wikipedia, sure.
Or the person who copied it from Wikipedia and failed to look over it before.
It's just copy and paste, man. I don't have time for this. We'll get you to do the outline next time there. All right, Twitch. I was going to give you the short one at the end, but because you busted my chops, you're now going to have to do the next, because I want to hear you read. the next fun fact.
Duke's theme song is titled Grabbage and was written by Lee Jackson.
Grabbage?
Grabbage? Grab bag. What?
You need a bigger screen.
He's got it set at 720p.
Let me put my monocles on.
640 by 480. Keeps the red.
How do you say that? Grabbing. Grab bag. Grabbing?
Grab bag. Grab
Grab
bag.
bag. Yeah.
Grab bag.
Grab bag.
Not grabbage.
Grabbage.
But it's fun.
Not grabbage.
I could have called it garbage. I don't know. Grab bag. It was written.
Cord is garbage.
Lee Jackson.
Really, just got here.
Duke's theme song is titled Grab Bag. It was written by Lee Jackson, 3D Realms music and sound director from 1994 all the way up through 2002. Many have covered and remixed now I keep wanting to say garbage, Grab Bag, over the years, including an officially sanctioned studio version by trash metal band Megadeth.
Nice.
Trash metal band Megadeth.
What is a trash metal band?
It's you mispronouncing the word thrash. Thrash metal band.
Thrash metal band. You know what?
You were thinking garbage and then trash. Yeah, that's probably what happened.
They probably are
quite
trash
the rehearsal.
band.
So
You know, rehearsal. No, this is all live. This is going in.
Okay, young Josh, please give us the last fun fact so we can get out of this segment.
Do it in a goofy voice to make it more interesting.
Do it in your normal.
Nukem 3D was the first game to feature full working mirrors.
I feel like I'm on G4 now.
sounds like?
Do
it in a Duke voice now.
I cannot do Duke voice.
Nukem 3D was the first game to feature full working mirrors.
Not bad.
Something like that.
All right.
Your face.
Okay, so I'm assuming has everyone here has played this game before, or Josh, was this your first time? Maybe.
And I played it on Nintendo 64 actually back in the day, a little bit.
Okay.
But we rented it a couple times. That's about it. That's the only time I played it, and I feel like I torrented it or pirated it back in the day too, a little bit. But I never got too far into the game until this playthrough.
Okay, Richard.
This was my first time to play this game. I did, however, play some Duke Nukem Forever in the past, so that was my initial impression of the Duke Nukem series.
I played it too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Ryan, we know that you are a huge fan of this game and you played it quite a bit back in the day.
I was OG. I bought the original version. I bought the Total Meltdown, the expansions, everything that could come out for Duke. I even, back when they used to do those trash level compilation CDs that were put out by some third party that 90% of them weren't worth playing, but there was a couple good levels and stuff. I'd buy them too. But yeah, I was a disciple of Duke Nukem back in 1996-97.
This was your first time playing the 20th anniversary edition, though, correct?
No, I played through that before. I actually spent a lot of time, because I played this game so much, I spent a lot of time playing like mods and total conversions this month as well. So I kind of was dabbling with that this month just to get into it, just to change things up a bit, I suppose. But yeah, the 20th anniversary or whatever it is pretty much trash. Definitely, if
we haven't got there yet. So we'll get.
We haven't got there yet, but we will get there. But it's definitely playable, but not ideal.
All right, Steven.
Yeah, no, I played it back in the day. I had, I guess the first episode, was that? I'm trying to remember, was that on floppy or CD-ROM?
Shareware. Yeah.
Was it both?
You got the,
or was it just CD? Was it on floppy? I don't remember that.
Yep. No, it's floppy. CD, you can get it off, what were they back in the day? Download boards there before the internet. What was, I can't remember. But anywhere you can get shareware, could have got it.
I'm thinking like a PC Gamer magazine CD might have. That might be a good one.
Yeah.
But the floppy disk version wouldn't have the audio files, like all the sayings and everything. It'd be just like bleeps and bloops and whatnot would be like real audio, like you can get on a CD.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember there being a CD for the first episode, but yeah, I do imagine there would be a share. Anyways, yeah, no, I had the original back in the day, the big box PC. I got the Atomic Edition, all that good stuff.
Nice. Well, for me, here's full confession. I didn't play this game until I would say, I think like maybe 1998, but probably 1999. For myself, like my first person shooter background, I was up to date in the very early 90s with Doom and Wolfenstein 3D, but then I had to go off to college, and I had very limited access to PCs that could actually run video games, and I was at the beck and call of what other people had. So we would play like LAN parties. We would play Quake, for instance. So someone would bring in Quake and I'd play that. But Duke Nukem 3D was just a game that I never, that I don't know, no one else was interested in, or no one brought it in or anything like that. But there was a kid in our class that used to quote Duke Nukem all the time. He'd like, say, come get some, and mall out bubble gum, and where is it? And maybe didn't know what the heck he was talking about. Too bad I don't have. He would just be sitting there. He'd say, "Too bad I don't have time to play with myself." And I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? And he's like, Duke Nukem, and to me, Duke Nukem was the 2D Duke Nukem, the little side scrolling.
Yeah.
That's what I had. We pick up the Pepsi cans and whatnot. So I and then of course it becomes infectious, and then I start quoting him. I start walking around. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I haven't even played the game. So when I eventually did get a computer that could run it, I did go back and play it. When I played it, though, I only played the first 3 levels. That's all I ever played. I don't think I ever had seen this was the first time I played the 4th and 5th. I believe the 5th is exclusive to this 20th anniversary edition. But this was the first time I played the 4th with all the aliens stuff and all that. I had never seen that before. And so like when I finished the game, it was just, that in that football arena, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, 20th anniversary edition of the game. As Ryan kind of mentioned earlier, this is, I don't know, it's kind of, there's so many different versions of the game that has come out since, updates and that. It's been in rights hell. So one company thinks they have the rights, another company thinks they have the rights. There's been editions out there that have been put out on other, like on the consoles, like the 360 and the Megaton edition that was on Steam.
Edition. That was on Steam a few years ago, which I feel like is the far superior one, at least when playing multiplayer, because it was more stable.
Functions. It functions.
Yeah, it functions, yeah.
I will say I did like a lot of the editions of the 20th anniversary edition. I did like the graphics. I thought they would look pretty cool. You can switch to the older style if you want. I felt that they looked a little washed out. And the 5th level is kind of, there's a little too much going on in there. It was very busy,
Yeah.
I don't know. It wasn't as good as the other, the first 4, in my opinion. But
it's nice
unfortunately,
to add it, at least.
Unfortunately, because the other versions, you can't get them anymore because the licensing has run out of them, and now it's owned by Gearbox, and this is their version of the game, and it's the only version of the game that you can get right now.
Well, you can apparently get a Steam key for the Megaton edition, but what was it? I sent you on
$157.
It was $157 from a resale thing online. So you can still get it, but you're going to be paying an arm and a leg for it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm assuming you can pirate it, probably, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose so. And what was cool about the Megaton edition, it also came with like Duke It Out in DC, and what was the one, the beach one? There was one where, what was the name of that? Caribbean something. I don't know, but that one also came with Duke It Out in DC. So.
Duke Caribbean Life's a Beach.
Yep, Life's a Beach, yeah.
Which,
that was pretty...
That's one where they're turns a gun into like a super soaker or something.
Yeah, all the guns look like super soakers, and all the enemies are wearing beach wear, and it's not as good as some of the other episodes, but it's fun, you know.
Duke on DC was kind of cool. I remember like the Smithsonian level or whatever it was.
I hated the Minnesotian level. That was so huge.
It was.
Minnesotian, but it was good.
Okay, so let's get into talking about the nuts and bolts of the game. Let's just start off with the story. I never have once thought of Duke Nukem's story until I started writing this, and I just thought, is there one? I don't even know. Is there a story? Yes. I know that it follows directly after Duke Nukem 2, because at the end of Duke Nukem 2, that's 2D side-scroller, he's in a spaceship at the end, and at the beginning of this game, the goddamn alien bastard shoots up his ride, and he's on a planet. I guess he's on Earth sometime in the 21st century, and the aliens have invaded. That's pretty much it, right? Is there anything more to it? Stole their chicks, right? Yeah. So what was that about? What was that about?
It doesn't feel very futuristic, does it?
No,
well, I don't think it's a distant future. It is a very close future.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, no one has any cell phones in this future.
Lots of payphones, though.
There is, yeah. No smartphones. Yeah. Okay. So nothing to say about the story. Anyone?
Well, no, the story is pretty basic, and it's meant to be. It's just, you know, at the start of the episode usually tells you how Duke got to where he is and what he's got to do, and then you get to the end of it, you get a cutscene that either doesn't really move the plot along, but basically shows him going like, okay, now I got to go get revenge for him in space, and then the next episode he's in space, and he's got to go back down to Earth. You know, it's basically a quick paragraph saying Duke's here, he has to do this, now do it, and this is why. And it's a
means to an end, right? Like it just gets you through the game. It's like, here, go in here and shoot some aliens. That's yeah.
So why is Duke the guy? Why does he have this assignment? Who does he work for? Like, who's giving this task to do all the time?
I think at least
why is he the only one?
He works for the EDF.
Because he's Duke Nukem,
Because he's Duke Nukem. Yeah, Duke Nukem, son of a bitch. Yeah, I always just assumed he worked for the EDF force or whatever, the Earth Defense Force, because they mentioned that more in the 4th episode, where there's a clip where he's talking to the general and stuff, and he's actually getting assigned a mission from the general in the 4th episode. So it's like he's kind of like, you know, he works for the EDF, but he's on his own. He does whatever the hell he wants, you know, because he's Duke Nukem. But you know, he's such a badass, they let him do whatever, you know. That's how I assumed it, you know.
Okay. Fair enough. So the gameplay is fairly linear. I know a lot of people get all their back up when they hear that, but I've always enjoyed that about the Duke Nukem games. It's pretty much just straightforward. There's a few places where you got to grab a key or whatever and to unlock the next area, but it's very straightforward for the most part.
I would disagree in some cases, because they do give you alternate paths. Like, there are different ways you can get into buildings. There are different ways you can avoid entire, like, the first level alone, you could probably skip about 50% of it if you actually really wanted to, if you knew what you were doing, you know. So it's one of those things where it does give you choices. I know, like, the 2nd episode is more linear in that sense, a little more maze-like. I've never been a fan of the 2nd episode as much. But the 1st and 3rd episodes they kind of give you a few more choices, depending on, like, oh, what if I dive in this pool of water? Oh, there's a sewer here, and if I go through here, I'll come up here, you know. So it's linear, but it gives you a few options here or there, which wasn't something first-person shooters gave you back then. Like, it was usually just go straight ahead, find key, shoot bad guys, whatever, you know. In this case, you know, it had design to it.
But if you compare it to Doom, which was its contemporary at the time, you know, in Doom you're kind of running around in a maze. And in Duke, there's some levels are a little bit like that, but for the most part, it's I don't know. I find it way more straightforward than, say, Doom or Heretic.
Well, the tricky thing is finding the key cards for the most part.
Right.
Some of them really well hidden.
Unfortunately,
some of the levels too. They were, apparently in the development they were supposed to be a lot more. What's that word when you can drill holes through things, explode? Like Red. What the heck's the name of that game?
Red Faction.
Yeah, Red Faction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's supposed to be more Red Faction like.
Like destructible environments. Just
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I thought it
the
was fairly maze-like. I always have a hard time finding my way out in Doom, and I had that experience a few times with this game.
A few times, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just found that like most of it didn't seem too like I get lost in Doom. A lot of the environments look alike. You know, you're running down the same corridors over and over again. This game, I don't know. It felt like if I was in an apartment, it looked like an apartment. You know, and I could kind of orientate myself where I am in the level.
Like in Doom, if you were in the city, like in the episode where you're back on Earth, it didn't look like you were in a city. Like with Duke Nukem 3D, you were in a city. There were buildings, there were skyscrapers, there was a porn shop in the corner, there was a theater over there. It looked like an actual place, you know. And so I suppose in that sense, like you could be like, okay, well, the key card was in the shop, and then I have to go over to the place over there, and so it makes it easier for you to visually remember where everything is, versus like where everything's brown and gray in Doom, where it's like, oh, that's the fourth time I ran into that wall, you know.
True.
Right. Okay. I guess we should talk a little bit about the environment, the misogyny, if you will. Yeah. I mean, this is a game. This game is really, it's a tongue-in-cheek game.
Yes.
It's making fun of or having fun with a lot of themes in that were prevalent in action movies and whatnot. Duke is like a really big, you know, muscle guy.
Testosterone.
Yeah.
He's
you know, it's like It's like a walking Bud Light commercial, you know, or a Bud Light. No, not even the strong stuff, just a Budweiser commercial.
Duff Man.
Right.
Duff.
Like, I mean, your mission in this game is to save all the babes on the planet. Not all the women, just the babes.
On mission. They only took the babes.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Don't know why. I guess those are selective.
Well, we know why. We know why. It's strongly hinted at what they were. Yeah.
I always liked that playful aspect of the game. I always thought that made the fact that you're this guy running around with tons of weapons, you know, like it just works for.
It's kind of a love letter to 80s and 90s action, dumb action movies. You know, like Commando, like even Evil Dead. Like, the funny thing is the quotes in Duke Nukem are all taken from like They Live, Evil Dead, stuff like that. All these other movies. I didn't know that at the time because I wasn't into like those movies, and I actually found those movies through playing Duke Nukem. And so that's what's kind of great about this is it's paying homage to like Arnold Schwarzenegger and freaking any of those other action movie tropes from the 80s and 90s. And it's the male power fantasy, but again, it's tongue in cheek. It's like he can do anything. He can carry all the weapons in the world. All the girls like him, that kind of stuff. But you know, it's more like all the developers sat down and goes, "What movies do we like? Okay, let's put this into a game." You know, basically.
Yeah.
What about you guys coming to this game for the first time? Did you find it jarring or anything like that, or did you know what you were getting into, or you okay with it?
In other words, how many times did you tip the strippers?
I did at least 3 or 4 myself.
Yeah.
Well, you naturally do that. If you've seen any clips of the game or heard about it before, as I have, I've seen reviews and people talk about it, and all the iconic stuff is in like the first couple of levels. You know, so many of the quotes and the dancers and all that. So you go through it, but I had a pretty good idea of what I was getting myself into, so I don't find it jarring. Of course, by today's standards, 90% of the game is politically incorrect, and
yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that maybe that's why they're having a hard time keeping it on the shelves. I don't. But I can't see people being offended by it.
Well, they could get away with a lot more on the PC as opposed to something like Nintendo, which wouldn't even allow blood in Mortal Kombat at the time.
Yeah, so I don't know. I really wish I had played it back when it came out, right after playing Doom and stuff like that, because I probably would have, appreciated it a lot more. But I don't know. It was just a fun game. My only issues with the game is I had to learn how to play it. In that there were a lot of things that I didn't know were switches, like the little circles on the wall.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just running around like, where do I go? And then, okay, that's not just decoration. It's something I can interact with. Or
right.
There were plenty of times where I found myself lost and like, oh no, you're supposed to dive down under the toxic waste and find a key card.
Right.
Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, like the little butthole plugs that look like in the Alien. There's like little. They look like little buttholes you have to hit for switches. I was like, wait, that's a switch? Okay, yeah.
Switch, yeah.
Well, at least that is like some circular thing on this otherwise like red wall.
Yeah, true. But I got stuck on one part where I'm like, what do I got to do? Oh, I guess I got to push these little buttholes. All right, let's go.
I'm curious.
Sometimes in life, I mean,
in the big box days, did they explain that those were switches, or was this just the game at the time you had to figure stuff out?
It was just the style at the time.
Yeah.
It was just style, and it probably actually was confusing for a lot of people when it first came out too, because like I said, most games, the verticality in Duke Nukem was something new in first-person shooters. You couldn't. Other games didn't give you a jetpack. Other games didn't let you swim. This was new. This was pretty dang new. Yeah, there were other games that were doing it after this, but this was the most successful game at the time that allowed you.
I did some because you and Steven were talking about this as we were playing some multiplayer about which was the first first-person shooter where you could look up, and I did some research, and it was Heretic was the first one that you could. Look up and shoot at enemies that were above you. But Duke Nukem was maybe not the first, but the one that popularized you looking with the mouse. Heretic was still all keys. So when you looked up, you had to hit a key to look up and all. It was very cumbersome. So that's really part of what Duke brought to the third-person or first-person shooting genre.
There wasn't much looking up, though. I mean, you might have been able to turn the camera just a bit, but I mean, it was still 2D sprites at the time. You can't really look up because it sort of makes everything invisible when you do that.
Well, that's
the game's not really supposed to have.
Yeah, and that's the engine's fault because mostly at the time they were still working with what people would call 2.5D, and the engine was basically tricking you.
Yeah. Well, we should mention that that in this game, for anyone who might not have played it, all the environments in the game are 3D, but the enemies are all 2D, which I've never seen this before. But in this version of the game, I don't know if it the other versions were able to trick me better or whatever, but you would get like, for instance, there'd be some enemies would be flying above you, and you'd go underneath them, and they'd be like totally flat, like totally.
Yeah.
You couldn't shoot at them because it was like trying to shoot at a piece of paper. I've never experienced that before while playing Duke.
That's why you're not supposed to be able to move the camera like that.
Yeah,
right.
I think because most of the time it was just they were always facing you, no matter what way you were looking at you, they were facing you. So I don't know. I've never looked directly up when they were right above me, but most of the time they were just facing me. I'll have to try that next time I play. I don't know.
Well, for instance, I played Heretic just this past week, and that game didn't have that problem at all. So I don't know. It was kind of weird. It was like a game that's older that came out like a couple of years before this one seemed to have that problem solved, and Duke was still struggling with it.
It could just be the way the enemies behave. They might just keep a certain distance at all times from the character.
Yeah. I mean, the enemies in Duke get right in your face.
Plus, they teleport them all around you.
Yep.
What is that? You got shot in the back, you're dead.
Yeah, that's pretty much a trope in your 90s first-person shooters, is enemies just popping in behind you and all around you. something that they don't really do too much.
Teleport. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do we now? That's always an important thing with first-person shooters back then. What do you think about the enemies in it? Were they interesting? Did you guys find them challenging, or were they just cannon fodder? Or were there ones that were more annoying or more fun to fight than others?
Well, I remember the pig cops were the first ones that could actually duck. That was something that was completely new at the time.
Strategy.
Yeah, like you would start shooting them, and then they would like crouch down on the ground and shoot back at you. So that was unique to me.
That was the first enemy that I was scared of. Like in that, I know he appears in the first level, but you kill a couple of those like lizard guys. It's like, okay, that's not so bad. But then you get to the pig, it's like, oh, I got to watch out for this one.
And it's cool because if they're in the dark, their eyes will glow. So if they're actually, so it's even freakier when that happens.
But when you meet them originally, they're very close to you, and they do use shotguns. So that's always a concern. You don't want to be close to the shotgun guys.
You know, I did read the background story, and apparently they are humans that were mutated. They're not part of the aliens.
Oh yeah.
So they're actually cops. They're really cops. Okay.
They were the ones that were fighting on the front line, and they somehow got mutated into cops. I don't know if that stands up in the later games or no. I don't know.
Well, I like how they mutated all the signage to make them say LARD.
Yeah.
Those alien bastards work fast.
I think the ones that, as far as aliens that were annoying, the lizard guy with the chain gun.
Yes. Oh yeah,
they would just like cut your life down really quickly. The only thing that worked to my advantage with them is they had it on their right hand, so if you could kind of position a barrier between yourself and them, they would start firing at you, but to no effect, and you can just take them out.
Those were probably the most annoying. Them and the drones that explode. Yeah.
Oh,
those two were the main reasons why I dislike the second episode.
Yeah.
That episode.
They show up a lot later on too.
Oh yeah.
Well, what I like about that is that those kind of, and it's like those drones, they come straight at you, and not every weapon is effective against them. So what I like about that is that it forces you to use the other weapons. I mean, you're not constantly using the shotgun all the time. Although the shotgun's very good against those guys. But if you try to use the chain gun or whatever, the bullets just kind of fling off them, because they're made out of metal.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll dodge some weapons too. They'll dodge the RPG.
They're actually pretty good. You can't shoot them with an RPG because they'll just dodge.
What I found though with those is if I was near a door, I could trigger it where I would show myself, wait for it to come at me, go behind the door, and then step back, and then they would just explode themselves against the door.
Smart man.
It just took forever.
Yeah. But no, that's another good point. Is the weapons in this? There is a bit of strategy. Like I should know the names of all these, but the giant spinny thing that shoots missiles at you, that thing absorbs a lot of bullets, but it's a lot easier just to freeze him or use the shrink ray on him. And you only have to shoot him like once or twice with the shrink ray, and he's over with, versus wasting half your ammo with your Ripper. Same thing with the giant mini boss that is the first boss in that first episode, but then comes back as a mini boss. Another thing is you just shrink them instead of wasting all your ammo. So there is, like Barry on Mars said, you have to be smart with your ammo, have to be smart with your weapons, and actually have to evaluate what enemies are in the room, which is pretty cool. And they're talking about, which is funny now because they're talking about that with the new Doom that just came out, about how you have to be smart with how you use your weapons and this and that. And it's just like, well, that kind of was a thing already, just not to the extent that they're doing it with the new Doom,
Yeah, that's why I kind of get, I mean, Halo's fine and everything, but the whole thing with only the two weapons and all that. Meanwhile, I prefer to have a whole arsenal of weapons and trying out different things and finding out which one works best, which you can do with Halo, but it's kind of a pain in the arse when you can only carry two of the weapons at the same time. I much prefer this style of first-person shooter.
So it's like Mega Man. You just figure out which weapon does the job.
Yep, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, you can just blow through it with one weapon if you want to, but it makes it considerably harder in some part. Well, you can. You just have to,
That's running out of ammo.
that's what that's what the quick save button's for. But but again, it forces you to use all the weapons in your arsenal.
Oh, you didn't even need a quick save button in this game. It just lets you start wherever you want.
Well, that's true. That is a unique thing to this version of the game where it allows you to rewind.
I never used that function. I forgot it had it.
Well, you must have died at some point, and it kind of forces it on you unless you want to restart the level. Or did you not die at all?
I didn't play the I didn't play the campaign on the 20th.
You didn't play the game. Didn't play the game. That's a co-host.
I played the Megaton edition.
You pulled a Rambox. Very good. All right.
I played the Megaton version of it.
Well, if you would have
those
played
YouTube videos with his own hand.
If you would have played Duke Nukem 20th Anniversary, you would have discovered the rewind feature. What did you guys think of the rewind feature? Would you have preferred the traditional, more quick save style, or was the rewind feature any sort of benefit to you? Josh, what did you think?
I like the quick save feature a little more because I just kind of have that muscle memory from playing all the other PC games. Just hit like whatever F5 or F7 or whatever. Right. I like that a little bit more. But it worked out.
Yeah, it's fine. I just like the control of the quick save. Like, if you're going to be making a jump or something like that, it'd be nice to have a quick save, so you can make the jump safely. Because sometimes you just get in a situation where you don't necessarily die. The rewind feature only pops up when you die. So
actually blow yourself up.
Well, yeah, that's what I did.
Blow yourself up with a pipe bomb or whatever, and then just start over.
What I did a couple times. Where I was sitting there and thinking, quick load, quick save would be so much more effective, in my view, anyways.
Yeah, but that's in there for console versions, Yeah. So whenever they have it on the PS4 or whatever, they can just hit like R2 or whatever, and then rewind and then start over. Yeah.
Right.
It was totally welcome for me because I wouldn't have finished the game otherwise. Just being able to jump.
There's a lot of cheap deaths.
Well, it would be nice if they gave you the option to do either or. Like I did not like it. The rewind thing is fine, but I would have preferred to have the quick save. There's no quick save option in the 20th anniversary edition. Steven.
I didn't need it. #pro gamer.
Did you play the 20th anniversary edition? I thought you only had the Megaton edition.
I played some of it on the PS4, and I've got the other version there.
Oh, the PS4. Well, that doesn't really count. We're only PC gamers here, so.
Yeah, well, we were playing the PC version, but it was so glitchy. We couldn't get it done, so I had to play the much more stable and focused console version.
Before we move on to that multiplayer stuff, I just want to say the most annoying enemy in the game are those little green guys. Those guys are just ammo wasters. I couldn't stand them whenever they would show up.
You just kick them.
Yeah,
kick them.
I know.
Wait for them to get up here and kick them.
They're just annoying, though. I didn't want to deal with them. I hate small, tiny enemies.
It's basically
if they had only popped up in the vents and tight quarters, they'd be more tolerable. But when you just walk into a room and there's a whole nest of eggs,
I have been in a battle with someone, and I'm trying to shoot them with the rocket launcher, and all of a sudden I died because one of those green things was sucking on my face, and I threw a missile into it somehow. It's like sucking on my face, and I just pointed the rocket launcher at myself and shot myself in the face. So I don't know. I found them a little bit annoying.
I found the game would often, when you run out of ammo, it switches to another gun. I found it switching to the RPG a lot.
It's like, no, of all things, not that'll blow me up.
I've run out of ammo with the shotgun, and it would jump all the way to the end to the extreme weapons.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's up to that, but
I also
generous with the ammo, though. I just want to say for the RPG, I'm like, you know what, game, you got a point. I've got like 17 rockets here, and I guess I could use them. You feel like you need to save them, but you don't really.
No.
I did like how the pistol in the game too was actually the weakest weapon in the game. I find too many first-person shooters overpower their pistol.
Halo does that.
I'm trying not to pick on Halo. I'm trying not to bring it up
Go ahead.
again. But I did like how like you had to reload it, but you couldn't reload it. Like it was just like you had to run out of ammo. So you'd be in a firefight with someone, then all of a sudden you're like reloading, and it wouldn't do as much damage, but it would do a little bit of damage. So it wasn't completely useless, but it was the most useless weapon. So I would never pick it over anything else unless I was like trying to shoot switches or whatever.
Or your green buddies.
No, I would just kick those guys. I would kick them or point a rocket launcher at my face, apparently.
Yeah, that works. Get off.
Okay, so yeah, that's all I want to say about the weapons and that. Okay, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, the multiplayer. I might as well get into it. The multiplayer for the 20th anniversary edition is completely broken. We tried playing it a couple of Saturday evenings, and I think we finished like maybe 1 or 2 rounds. We actually got to finish, but for the most part, we never made it to the end. We would get kicked out before the time would run out, or someone would make it to 15 kills or whatever setting we had. I don't know if the console versions of the game have that issue, but definitely the one on Steam has that issue. In the meantime, it wasn't anyone's connection or anything like that, because a few of us that did have the Megaton edition played that immediately after, and it never crashed once.
Yeah, no problem with that.
I'll say the few rounds we did get in were pretty fun. I think we had a good 30-minute chunk that first Saturday where we actually played some matches, which was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The multiplayer is fun. It is still the classic from the classic game. It just kept kicking us out. It was very disappointing.
Yeah, true.
It was very user unfriendly, and again, it might be because this version was made for consoles instead, and so maybe it's not.
It feels that
quite
way.
as. Yeah, it feels like maybe it wasn't optimized for the PC, considering this is a PC game first. But but the thing about the Megaton edition, because I remember me and Buried on Mars when that first came out, we actually did a few rounds, and that one, if you had a custom map, you could actually play it with the other person and the other person will just download it. Where if you have a custom map on the 20th anniversary edition, everyone needs to download it first, then get into the game and play it, instead of it just automatically downloading, like most other multiplayer games do. Like if someone doesn't have a map and it's a custom map, it would usually just download it for you, and then you get into it. But it wouldn't do that with the 20th anniversary, which seemed pretty asinine to me, if you ask me. But,
Well, I wonder if the plan was to actually sell official maps as DLC at some point, and that's probably why they put that in there.
I believe it.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
But I don't think they put that much work into it.
Yeah,
it's just the impression I get. It was an afterthought.
Like a Borderlands map or something, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Or what was that movie? Didn't they do a crossover with Duke Nukem and that Bulletstorm game?
Yeah.
Do like a map related to that or something, and then charge like $2 or whatever. I could see it.
Yeah.
But other than that, because you can do if it runs fine, you can do co-op through the every episode if you wanted to. Just which we did co-op on a couple episodes, and some of them didn't crash, some of them did, but those are fun too. It just took me back. When I first played this game back in '96. I remember jumping into the level editor, making my own multiplayer maps, and me and my buddy would play them all the time. Like the level editor, at least back in the day, was actually extremely easy to use, and so it was one of those things that was very user friendly. I don't know if the 20th. I didn't look in the files to see if the 20th anniversary has it in there, but the build engine was actually extremely user friendly, and so half the fun of it was just making a map, getting in there with your buddies, downloading a map or something like that, and just playing all the time. I used to have LAN parties all the time with it, and it felt that way again, just like old times.
Yeah. Yeah, you're making me want to play this game again.
I have a lot of passion for this
Get your
game.
PS4 ready.
Well, yeah, I guess I'll have to, apparently. If the multiplayer is more stable on there, but then I got to get that PlayStation Plus and all that stuff.
I wonder, you might not. But I don't know.
Maybe.
Some games don't require it.
Graphics. What'd you guys think of the graphics? This is an old game, but for me, this is like it's just it stands up. It's still good. If they made a game that looked like this today, I'd
They
pick it up in a second. Well, they do, yeah, I guess.
like Ion Maiden or whatever.
I think that's all still 3D. I don't think they
No,
make.
it's the same
It
engine.
uses
They
it's
brought
Oh,
an
back-
really?
updated build. It's the same
No
engine.
way. Iron Maiden. What is
Maybe to
Ion
build it.
Maiden?
There's been a
Iron Maiden.
resurgence in retro style 3D shooters.
Oh, well, it's on my wish list. It's just it's got to get under $20 because I'm cheap.
There you go.
But oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. I don't know. What you guys think, Richard? What'd you think of the graphics? Did you
Looks
like them?
good. It's
Yeah.
it's what I expected. It still
Yeah.
delivers. Only thing that was weird is when the like you say when the enemies are up in the air and they turn into pieces of paper.
Right.
But the 2D enemies that rotate constantly, and even when they're dead bodies, they spin around
Yeah.
with you.
That is a little weird.
Classic.
Yeah.
No problems.
Certain
Duke,
charm.
Duke does look silly in the mirror, though.
You know.
He's got skinny little legs.
Yeah, and he's always carrying some weird backpack gun. I guess that's all of his weapons are back in there in that backpack or something.
Just all the
jetpack.
gadgets. Yeah.
Oh, it's the
supposed to be-
jetpack.
It's a
Oh,
jetpack.
okay. But it doesn't matter what you're carrying. That sprite is just he looks the same no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like as if they said, "Hey, we'll put a mirror in this game," and then like, "Well, what are we going to do? How's Duke going to look?" Oh, I'll just.
Now, Kevin, we didn't care at the time. Just the fact that the mirror was there at all was pretty.
It
fun.
was, yeah, phenomenal at the time.
That game sold many a Pentium, and you know it.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
that's
used to
why
go-
we didn't play Duke because we didn't have Pentium. We only had 486 computers. It could run Quake though, so I
No,
don't know.
46
Yeah.
could run Duke.
Yeah, they could run Duke. Yeah,
I used to
yeah.
play this game with friends over the phone line on my 486
Oh, yeah.
compact
Well-
Presario.
Whoa.
And
Network.
then someone would call the house and it would disconnect you because you're on
Yes,
phone line.
yes.
Yeah.
Get off the phone.
Get off the phone! Or mom would be yelling up, "Are you on the internet?" Because you'd pick up the phone and all you'd hear on the phone is, "I need to make a phone call. Are you playing online again?"
Yeah, like I would go to a computer store just to play this game. And whether it's fancy computer store downtown and they had it, it's like, oh man, there's that first level. Those alien bastards shooting up my rides. This game's awesome. I love those textures. Tiles, like remember back in the day when desktop wallpapers were just like tiles? You could have
Yep.
like one picture or just tile. Like I would get the Duke 3D like tile and use that for my background. Like I like the just like the rock face tile or the apartment window tile. Those are good.
And interactive. Like you could like destroy monitors. You could play pool. Like this was like one of those games where you actually interacted with the environment, not only just destroying it, but that was like part of the fun when you first played it. Is you seen how much of the environment you could actually destroy, even if it was just a texture swap from being not broken to being broken. You were just running around kicking and shooting everything.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
you
a lot
get-
of vending machines.
I
Yeah.
was excited when you see that crack in the wall. You're like, oh man.
There's a crack in the wall. Where's my
Well,
butt
they-
pump?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Best ex-
another thing that there's no explanation of, but you learn that when you see a certain mark on the wall, little cracks, that okay, I can blow something up and get in there. And sometimes it's a secret, and sometimes it's mandatory, and sometimes it's both. Like trying to get through one of the levels. I think it's the level with the dancing girls, where it's like, oh, you found a secret place, but you have to go through here anyway because
Yeah.
that's the way to the exit. So
Yeah,
I was
that
never
was
quite
always-
sure if I was hitting all the spots I was supposed to.
Them key cards
I think-
would be in
I think-
secret places as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was one of the few annoying things. Is just like it still had the key card trope, which I've never been a fan of. Even being an old school first person shooter person, I hated hunting for keys.
Well,
and it's
you
not
hand in
quite
all
as-
your key cards because you're
Yeah.
fired.
Yeah, I know. I'm
You
fired,
have
but
to love the key
this
cards. in order
isn't this isn't as bad as not as bad as Doom, and definitely not as bad as frickin' Wolfenstein 3D, which just got ridiculous if you ever played through all of the episodes of that. So,
Oh yeah.
oh my god, ridiculousness. So it's not quite as bad.
Come on.
But of course,
Um,
if you ever get too frustrated, there's always a cheat code. So if you can't find the key
Yeah.
card,
I didn't use any cheat codes.
Oh,
So
me neither.
God
You're
Life
back.
and all that stuff.
Back in the
That's
day, I
fun.
must have cheated a lot because I'm like, oh, this is how you get through here. Levels
This is
sort
how
of
you
make
do.
sense. Some of them really don't, though. The bring back the maze-like thing, like some to get to some spots without a jetpack is pretty tricky to figure out sometimes. Like you have to run off the side of a building and hope to land on a ledge. That's when your quick save comes in handy. But yeah.
It's funny because a lot of things we're mentioning are in the first level. That first level is almost like almost a demo. That you could tell that they threw. Yeah, you can tell that they threw everything in there because to get people excited about the game, like the mirrors in there, the cracked walls, the pool table, jetpacks, everything's in that. Yeah, the walls explode.
Dancing girl on the movie.
Yeah, everything's in there, man. It's all in that first level.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I just want to talk about the audio a little bit. Would you guys like? I don't know. Like when I hear the sounds in this game, everything is just so classic to me. Like it just sounds right because I'm become accustomed to it from looking at it for 20 plus years. What about you guys? What do you guys think of the audio?
It's badass.
I love the
Badass
Devastator.
audio.
Yeah, Devastator's cool. Yeah,
throaty. They're all great. Even that weird, like, there's like this kind of like weird crying noise that you sometimes hear in the background, like it's a bird or something. You guys know that noise?
Oh, it's
that
like
thing?
it's like an echo of someone screaming in the city or something. It's just supposed to be like, oh, something's happening, and yeah, I know what you're talking. It is.
Yeah.
It's like, "Ah!" Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of hard to emulate, but
But they
iconic
just
noises.
yeah, I don't know. But no, I always enjoyed the audio. I like how they would try and fill areas with abundant noise, like that random scream or something, or you'd walk over something and you'd hear an audio cue that would make you feel more immersed into the world and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so I always
it's like an
liked
ambient sound. It's almost like an airplane in the back.
that. The airplane or something like that.
Yeah.
I'd often think that there was something on its way, but it was just background noise.
Mm-hmm.
But they did a great job of creating a world for Duke and kind of something unique to his character for this game. I think you mentioned earlier that the second episode was your least favorite. That was the same for me. When you go out into space, it's not a bad level, but it loses the charm of the strip clubs and the grocery stores. And it felt more like Doom, just like Duke was trapped in the wrong game for a second, but
and somehow with less color.
Yeah, and that's the problem is they use a lot of the same textures for more of the levels in episode 2, I think, and I get it. You're supposed to be in space stations or alien ships, and so everything's supposed to be stale or whatever the heck it's supposed to be. But so I think that's where it kind of runs through a problem. And that does bring up a good question. What is everyone's favorite episode, though? Was it the first episode? I think we all agree the second episode probably isn't our fave, unless if it is. Josh, did you like the second episode?
It was fine. I think personally my favorite's the third episode. I think it's just the most solid out of all, especially even I guess the fourth and fifth are bonus episodes, right?
Yeah,
the fourth
they were added with later releases.
Yeah, those ones feel a little more like messy, and I did put out a tweet earlier that said the game felt obtuse, and I would say those two levels are what I was more referring to because it felt like
that's what I wanted to talk to you about, Josh.
Yeah, I felt like they were a little like harder to like figure out where to go in the last two episodes. I think that the first 3 episodes, if that was I guess that was the original game, so just that alone, it's pretty linear. You can figure everything out. But once I got to those last, I was playing those last 2 episodes today. I was like, okay, I'm gonna play those today and get this thing wrapped up. And yeah, I found them a little bit too messy and but yeah, my favorite episode I would say would be 3. I just feel like it's just from beginning to end, it's just very entertaining. Had a lot of really cool areas to go to, and then of course you end in the stadium fight, which is a lot of fun. So
yeah. I'm with you. I really like the first original 3. I think that's like a really nice self-contained game there. The fourth one's okay. It's got like it's kind of like some neat things in that, but that fifth one to me was my least favorite. I felt like as if everything was this. I think it's exclusive to this version of the game. Everything felt a little too busy. Like all the backgrounds felt a little too much, and I don't know. There just wasn't really that much interesting.
That and the final boss was just extremely easy.
Yeah,
That's true.
there just wasn't much to it. Not like the alien queen boss in the fourth episode. That was. I had a little bit of trouble. I had some trouble with it. Mostly because you were underwater.
Yeah, that's what I didn't like about it.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Well, we get into spoilers here, man.
Yeah.
I have a hard time distinguishing.
But that was a cool twist to it.
What was where, because there's so many individual levels within each episode. But
right.
Things like the police station. I don't know if that was the third one or the fourth one. That one I really liked. Or just when you're in the supermarkets or Duke Burger and stuff like that.
And
Has a good feel to
it. When he's in like everyday places.
Yeah. And then you find the aliens using the toilet or hanging out inside the peep show room or something.
You gotta flush the toilet before they attack you.
They're enjoying the environment. They're not just there. They're actually interacting. Maybe they're cooking up some burgers in the restaurant.
Maybe that's part of the story. They're jealous of Earth and they want to have our toilets and our chicks, and so they get rid of all the humans so they can use our
toilet paper. No,
that was another thing I was always unsure of in the game, and I guess there's no real answer. Is like when you do come across the chicks that have been captured.
Yeah.
Like I was under the assumption I'm trying to save them or something, or is there anything you do? But if you accidentally shoot them or kick them or intentionally do it, they die, and they're asking you to kill them.
Yeah,
and then
the
often it would spawn an enemy.
It's from the Aliens movie. Like when those people were stuck in the walls in the Alien movies.
Yeah,
it's a reference.
But I thought there was some purpose to it, because
think of them as like booby traps.
The game, it's like they kidnapped all the babes. Like, are you supposed to rescue them, or they're just done? That's it.
I think they're done. Like they're saving them to convert them. Like they converted, I guess, the cops to pigs, right? So eventually they're going to convert the babes to something, I guess. Let's not analyze the game.
I think in the N64 version or something, you can save them. Like you click on them.
Yeah, you can save them, and they're dressed more. They have more clothing.
Can't see.
That was one of your fun.
Before I forget, and we moved too far from the audio, I just wanted to talk about the John St. John dialogue in that. It was redone for this game, I guess because they felt like the original files didn't hold up to like all the new audio for this game. So it's a bit controversial because a lot of people, I guess, are just kind of used to how the old style sounds. And when he re-recorded these, I don't know if he recorded them faster back in the day because maybe to save space, but in this, everything's like, when he's talking, everything's like really drawn out when he recorded this stuff. Like I found it much longer. I don't know. What did you guys, you can't switch to the original in there, but it doesn't work for every instance. Like there's still some instance where the new dialogue takes over. So I don't know. What did you guys think of it? Did you notice? Did you even care?
I think it was unnecessary. They didn't need to, but they could, so they did. So it's one of those cases. Maybe they.
Go ahead. I was gonna say they probably helps them to lock the game down for their own usage. It's like, well, you can have the game, but we recorded the audio and we destroyed the original audio. So if you want to have the game, you got to pay extra for it.
Destroyed.
Maybe.
I didn't grow up with it, so it didn't matter to me.
Okay. All right. Well, good to know. Okay.
I did switch, and because you mentioned it when we were playing multiplayer, like, oh, the audio's changed, so I did switch. It does sound a little more compressed and a little older, but I don't know. It didn't seem too much different to me, so I didn't have an issue with it.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Well, I find that first-person shooters, I think since the Medal of Honor / Call of Duty era has really went into a direction of getting the correct sounds for all the weapons and everything. Like they always they'll get like a World War II weapon and they'll actually record it shooting for a World War II shooter and that. And what I like about the sounds in Duke and of all the weapons that it's unique. So when you hear it, that you're hearing something from Duke Nukem, like the way that chain gun fires. It fires like a, I don't know, little pea shooter or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds like a pea shooter.
Yeah, but when you hear it, it's from Duke Nukem, even though it has like no bearing on any sort of reality.
I kind of see it like it's a B-movie sci-fi movie where like you're dealing with guns that don't exist, so they have to make up the sound for it. That kind of stuff. Like it's a sci-fi.
And that stuff I think is really missing from a lot of games today. I don't know. Yeah. They try to go for the realism all the time.
Well, they have the budgets. Got to spend that budget.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they go like when they do a racing game now, they go to Jay Leno's garage because he has every single car. This is true. He has every single car. So they go to his garage and they get him. Okay, Jay Leno, turn on this car, and they record like how the car starts, and then they put it in the game. It's crazy. Anyway, so
Jay Leno. Did you guys find any of the songs memorable at all aside from the main theme?
No.
Yeah.
Never. The main theme is just it for me. I don't.
I was trying to like listen for other catchy songs. Like the first level in Doom is clearly the best song. The one that just rips off Metallica, but
it's Slayer. It's not Metallica, but
is it?
We can discuss that later. But there's many memorable.
The Master of Puppets one. What's that one? What levels uses that one?
It's Slayer. It's not Master of Puppets. I swear.
Really?
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Good heavens.
We've had this discussion before, Steven. You didn't believe me then, and I don't even know if you'll believe me now. Okay.
I've already forgotten. Have we talked about the levels yet?
In what, Doom?
Or Doom? No, in this game.
We talked about the episodes. We were talking about our favorite episodes, although I think only half of us.
Topic. Yeah.
It's just sort of...
Well, I just want to talk about there's a lot of references, not only with Duke's sayings and that, but there's a ton of stuff in the game. Like we were talking about the alien queen is an enemy. There's the alien eggs where the little green slimes come out of. Mm-hmm. So those are another reference to aliens. Man, there's just somebody found
to the police station. There's Callahan and
right and John McClane.
John McClane, yeah.
And that's what's so.
Is Riggs in there or something? Or there's another one. Third one. Can't remember.
I don't remember.
Probably.
You can find the Doom Marine and Serious Sam.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker.
Although
there's Indiana Jones in it.
In the Nintendo 64 version, it's not Luke Skywalker. It's Yoda for some reason. They kill Yoda.
Yoda. That's
interesting.
But they throw little pot shots at other games and movies and stuff like that.
That's half the fun.
Mission Impossible theme in that one stage at the beginning, kind of like a remix of it. But yeah,
that part's neat. I don't know if you guys have played that area properly or not, but you have to have the jetpack when you fall down, and it's like that scene in Mission Impossible, like when he'd be on the rope, because if you touch the ground, that's when everything blows up.
Right.
Oh yeah, a bunch of enemies come out and try killing you, basically. Yeah. But yeah, that was a fun level. I like that one in the which one? The fourth episode.
The fourth one. Yeah.
The problem is with and I do like the fourth episode, except for more towards the end. But the problem is and I think why it gives people a bad taste is nothing's really connected. It's just they made these levels to be like a reference to something else, and so the levels don't feel quite as connected. Where in like the third episode, you go from stuff blowing up to a flooded city, and the level before it kind of seamlessly transitions into the flooded city, which was a very unique level at the time. Mm-hmm. Which I have a love-hate relationship because I hate water levels, but I just love the look of that level, and just because at the time that was like the first time you've ever seen that in a first-person shooter. I'm saying that a lot. This is the first time you ever seen that, at least for me. And I thought that was a very
groundbreaking.
Well, let's be honest. All these levels connecting, and that at the end of every one, Duke pushes a big button and blows things up. Right? Well, so I don't know what he's transitioning to and from all the time. Like to me, it doesn't.
It's just
sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes not.
It makes sense because the next level you go to it, at least again with the first 3 episodes. It at least makes sense where you came from last. And you can turn around and look and be like, oh, there's where I used to be.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. And all it is the big red button to end the level. which all games had back then. That's all it
Right.
was.
Yeah.
It's just the glowing thing saying exit is here, exit is here. You
It
know,
was the style at the time.
But
Just the
it was
style.
Duke's big fist hitting a big nuclear, like
Boom.
launched this nuclear weapon thing.
Just cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
it was
Very
cool.
macho.
Duke has to punch and blow up everything.
Okay. Is there anything left to say? Have we said
Totally
it all?
screwed me over with this Doom music thing. I gotta have to look this up.
I didn't even bring it up. That was you that brought it up. So.
Oh my!
All right.
Now we're
Looking at Doom stuff. Let's talk about the levels now. Duke Nukem. Cool level.
What else? Well, what do you want to say about the levels?
What do you want to say about?
Let me get. I got the list here. I've looked at it this entire
Oh
time.
my goodness. We're not going through every single one. Pick your top
Sure.
two.
Well, I was just gonna ask, which levels do you guys think of the most when you think of this game? I was gonna say, like, I like the subway level. That's really neat. Once again, as another first, I think it's one of the first times you ever had any kind of like subway type, object happening in a level. Like we were saying a moment ago, it very much brings it back to like a kind of realistic setting, and of course an urban setting for the whole LA setting that most of the game takes place in, And we were talking about the episode 4 for just a moment, and I find I often think of levels from episode 4 when I think of Duke, and it's kind of weird. Like it kind of came out, like we mentioned, it came out after the first 3 did, but I still find I'm thinking of at least the first 4 levels. Like you got the Mission Impossible base, which is kind of also like an Independence Day base. I think of Duke Burger a lot, and I just think it's neat how you can see that all the meat comes from the SPCA next door.
Yeah.
Duke Burger's a fun multiplayer level, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then you got the big shopping, I guess it's like a Walmart or a big grocery store next to that. I think
the Duke Burger one, sorry, we did play that multiplayer and we couldn't get through it because we didn't have the shrinker.
Oh yeah, played a co-op.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
we weren't there to get through it. We're there to shoot each other.
We were supposed to get we're just supposed to get as many. We did eventually get through it though.
When you're playing co-op.
No. Didn't we figure out we had to shoot a mirror or something? Or
yeah, but we didn't have the weapon.
Oh, I think we did, like when we played the Megaton edition after you had split, Richard. I think we played it again, and we did open that all up.
Okay.
I think we played that level for about a half an hour too. Eventually, we just said, "Okay, that's enough." Because
it might be just a weird puzzle thing too. We'd have to go back to check, but I don't think there's any area you would not ever be able to get to. Like, because you remember in the first, what's that level called? Once again, I have the list right here. I want to say maybe it was the Abyss. You know, the one that was like you're in the Grand Canyon, because there would be that thing on the wall that would shoot the shrink rays periodically.
Yeah.
And they would have something like that if it was required, because they know that you would have to be able to. They never want you to be stuck because you've run out of ammo.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, unless maybe ammo was respawning somewhere, but I'm thinking it would obviously in deathmatch mode that wouldn't matter because everything respawns. But in single player, there would have to be some way for you to be able to get through.
In that level, though, you did have to. The shrink ray is in the room. I think just somebody, when we were playing multiplayer, somebody picked it up and then died, and then the shrink ray disappeared or something.
When everyone's running around, it's chaos, and I can just see like someone has all the ammo, someone has the gun.
Yeah.
No one ever has everything they need.
Well, if you had friendly fire off, the shrink ray wouldn't have worked. Like it does. It does work. If you put on friendly fire, the shrink ray won't shrink.
You only need one person. You only needed one person to go through there to open the door.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying you can't shoot if you had friendly fire on, you can't shoot the shrink ray at someone and it'll affect them because you have friendly fire on, and it won't shoot them.
You shoot it at the mirror, and you shoot.
Yeah, you shoot it at the mirror. Yeah. But I'm just saying that. Yeah. All right. Never mind.
Let's get out of the.
We're getting off the.
It's a rabbit hole.
For me, my favorite level, of course, the first one. That's just iconic. I mean, that's what I think of. I love the submarine. I love the electric chair. I mean, it's all the early stuff that I've played. Because, I played every time you sit down and play the game, you play the first few levels all the time. So I probably played those the most, and those are the ones that kind of stick out to me the most. But this was the first time I played the 4th and 5th level. I had no idea about the Mission Impossible stuff. Finding all the the officers' desks in the police station, all that. That was cool. And then the Alien Queen at the end. Like a pain in the ass to fight, but I had no idea it was in this game at all. So that was kind of memorable too.
Cool.
And then of course the fighting the end boss of the original 3 episodes in that football stadium. I mean, that's always stuck in my head. And then Duke says, "I'm going to tear off your head and shit down your neck," and then after he kills,
I'll rip your head off and shit down your neck.
He actually
the second boss.
That's the second one? Okay.
Yep, the second boss, he rips his head off and shit down his neck.
Is that the
Right,
first one?
I can't remember.
No.
I don't know.
No, the second one is the weird frog thing with the missiles and the thing, and that's where I'll rip your head off. And then the cut scene is him sitting there with the paper. He rips his head off, and he takes a paper out and starts whistling.
I think that's the first boss, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know.
First boss, he just blows his head off. He basically goes, "I'm coming to get you, alien bastards," and he just blows the guy's head off. I know.
No, he like looks down and he shoots his head off with a gun, doesn't he?
Yes. First one he shoots the head off. Second one he shoots down their neck. Third one he kicks the eyeball through the uprights. And then I can't remember which he did with the Alien Queen. But I don't remember. I haven't fought.
Okay, we still have some other things to get to. Is there anything left that we need to say?
Have we talked about the guns yet?
Yes, we did, of course. Okay, that's it. We're done. Okay, I got some questions.
I have one thing.
Their favorite levels are.
No one knows it. No one ever does it, but it's awesome. You know the pig tank from the 4th episode?
Yeah, the pig tank.
Pig tank. You know the pig cops are driving on a little tank. Those things.
Okay, I hate those things.
For one thing, those actually rotate. And then what Richard was saying before about stuff always facing you, those actually can move around. And what's neat about that, fun fact, here's a fun fact, a real fun fact, is that there's a giant button on the back of the tank, and if you push the space bar on that button, it blows up the tank.
Yeah, if you activate it, it'll blow up the tank. If you run up to
the tank has a self-destruct button on the back of it.
Well, my activate button is E. I always assign E for activate, not the space. So will it still work if I press the E button and not the space?
Yes.
Maybe.
Okay.
I'll have to see your layout.
Okay, that's it. All right, we're hitting in the end now. We're going through that's it. We're done. We've talked about.
Josh, what was your favorite level? Quick, spit it out.
Hey, Josh.
3
favorite
big
level?
questions. No. We're done.
Okay.
3 big questions. We're done. That's
Red
enough.
Box, your favorite level, quick.
You guys are co-hosts.
Talked enough. It's enough. It's enough already. We talked about all the highlights. There's nothing else to say. Look, Richard's done. He's
Hey, did anybody ever use the steroids?
No, they were useless.
Game's fast enough.
It's kind of fun.
It was neat, though, to have an inventory. I think this was the first game I played. I know it's in Heretic, but this was the first game I played, a first-person shooter, where you can actually have an inventory and use items later on. That was kind of...
Yeah, it took me a while to figure that out, because, again, I didn't read any instructions on this, but I really liked that you had the med kit you picked up that acted immediately, and then one you could hold on to, and then, have that for a big boss fight.
Right.
It didn't use it all up immediately. It used the percentage you needed. So if you only needed 25%, it would only take 25%, and you still have 75% of it to use for later, which I always thought was brilliant.
It sounds like to probably most people like this sounds like nothing, but at the time, I mean, in Doom, you found something, and that was it. You used it right away if you picked it up. So that was cool.
It didn't use the hologram that much, but I don't know.
Never used the hologram.
It's fun for death.
Yeah. I would use just the health, pretty much. That was it. Yeah. Steroids, I think you had to use to get an achievement. I think I did that. You had to if you had to be you had to have taken steroids and kill a certain number of enemies. That was pretty much it.
I think the night vision comes in handy with the extra lighting in this one. I find the game's darker now.
Yeah, I didn't use most of that stuff. Night vision, hologram, I didn't touch it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know you could run early on. Once I figured out that was a game changer.
Well, if you hit caps lock, you can actually lock it.
Yeah, I think I briefly looked at the button layout. I was like, these are all your commands, but I'm getting into the game. I didn't realize. And then it was only at one part where you have to shrink down and then run through a corridor. And it's like, I couldn't make it. I kept going. I was like, there's no way I can get to the end fast enough. And then sure enough, you you can run, and then I realized you should just run through the entire game.
You use the protective boots a lot. You didn't know you were using them, but they use themselves.
Yeah, that was a big one. I think it was just before that Queen battle. You have to run down that long stretch of toxic waste or something.
I like when
somehow
you
the boots keep you safe when you submerge in toxic waste.
Yes.
Whole body's protected.
You know what's fun about that, right? The build engine. Like every time you go underwater, you're actually teleporting to a different part on the level map.
Yeah.
Like you're never like it's never the same area. You're actually like the way the level design works is everything underwater is actually a separate part on the map.
Yeah. Well, and that's why like enemies, like if you're swimming on the water, the enemies can't hurt you. But when you go underwater, then the enemies there can hurt you.
That's true.
Like they don't exist if you're above or below. The other side doesn't exist because they're set.
I think they upgraded that in Shadow Warrior, where you actually could see into the water, even though it was a completely different level. It kind of gave it a teleport thing to it, where you could see enemies in the water and they could see you, even though it was still tricking you and you were still teleporting. But they managed to figure out a way to mirror it, so enemies in the water could see you and you could see them. So they did kind of.
Each game adds a little bit more to the engine.
Yeah.
But they still get it wrong that guns don't work underwater.
Well, Dukes do because they're
space guns from the future.
Yeah, they're
he's got a shotgun.
guns.
That's why they look like that.
It's a 21st century shotgun. That's waterproof.
Did we?
I was
21st century shotgun that doesn't spread out as it fires.
Although they should at least sound different underwater, I guess.
They do.
Should be a little muffled.
Yeah, there's like that echo.
Yeah, there's a little.
Do you like
it
the
should be a
microwave
little more
expander? Did you guys ever use that one?
Yeah, that was
like the
fun.
shrink but red.
I enjoyed it more than just.
once.
Yeah.
After a while, once you start getting new guns, I stuck to the ones that worked. I didn't really mess around with the fancy stuff.
I hated the new aliens in the fourth one. The one that could shrink you. Those ones.
Yeah.
I hate it. They just comes
these guys
down
are
and
hard.
all of a
They're scary.
Yeah, they are. And then all of a sudden, you're they shrink you, and you're running away from them in slow motion, going, "Don't step on me!"
Yeah, I hated
You
getting
see his little
shrunk.
fist running for it.
I'm so used to being big. I hated getting shrunk
That's
because I'm big. Okay, let's get into the big three questions. Speaking of big, and I got some questions to ask you guys.
Three
I got
questions,
of them.
sir.
Just three. Is
questions.
this a good game, and would you recommend people play it today? Richard.
Why do you ask this question? Like, if people were listening to everything we just said, haven't we already answered
Didn't
this?
he steal that from what's his name?
I did. It says it
Yeah.
right there. I even put it right there in the notes. Tell me, yes or no.
I liked it. I think if
Believe
you
it
like
or-
first-person shooters, you should play it.
Believe it or not, Richard,
I did put it there.
There's a few games that we've played that we didn't like, and we actually.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you get that from listening to the conversation.
Yeah, but you might be surprised from the answer.
It's like you say, I
Sometimes-
love this game.
doing
I was
that
playing since
thing.
I was a kid. It's great. It's iconic. Oh, gee, would you play this game? Do you think it's a good game?
Maybe you
Gonna
might
bring
say,
up
you know what, it
Oblivion again.
hasn't
All right,
aged well.
no. I don't think you should play this game because
Okay,
the
why not?
graphics suck. It's like you shoot
Oh
a
my
piece of
God.
paper. The guns shouldn't work underwater, and it's extremely offensive to women and degrading. So no, don't play this game.
Okay.
Wow,
fair enough.
you just sounded like Twitter.
You contradicted everything you just said, but that's okay. That's fine. All right.
I'm contemporary.
I don't know why I'm not allowed to ask this question, but Ryan, would you recommend that people play this game today? Is it good, and would you recommend they still play it today?
Game is utter trash. I don't know why we play.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today for this podcast. It's been great fun. Thank you, Richard. Yeah.
Obviously, this
How
game
dare you
is-
make an entertaining episode?
How dare
I'm
you.
done. I'm done. I don't want to record anymore. I'm done. All right. Thanks,
the way
guys.
they treat
We only have
women
3 hosts
is
left.
the most offensive thing. No, if you are a sensitive snowflake, then no, don't play this game because you will immediately go on Twitter and start complaining about it. Otherwise, if you have if you want to play a fun first-person shooter that helped revolutionize first-person shooters at the time, it gave us a lot of tropes we're still getting back to now, thanks to Doom. I know a lot of that got away from with your health refilling automatically and only being able to hold 3 guns at a time if you're lucky. But this was it. This was fun. It's a badass game. You blow shit up, you kill things, you tip strippers, you run around and just cause a bunch of chaos. And if that sounds fun to you, then this is absolutely probably my favorite first-person shooter of all time.
Great. Good answer. Josh, what do you say?
Definitely, I would say that I recommend playing it. I don't really consider this a must-play game. I think it's really fun, but if anything we talked about...
Look at this surprising answer. What are you talking about, not must-play? What are you talking about?
It's not a must-play, in my opinion. Like, it's okay. There's better games than this, but if you want to go back and say, oh, what was Duke Nukem all about? Check it out, because, like you said, you're blowing stuff up. You're being misogynistic and being a crazy, ridiculous testosterone-fueled character with a shit ton of references to a bunch of 80s and 90s movies. If that sounds fun, check it out. And I was going to mention that Duke Nukem Forever, when I didn't beat the game, but I played a lot of it. I feel like this game and that the type of humor and like the references doesn't work in modern day. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work. Going back and playing it and like,
Could.
You think so?
I don't do a good job with Forever. And part of the problem with that is that it took so long that by the time they do like referential like new jokes aren't so great because they aren't retro yet. They're just like a year or two too late.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Like meme that jokes. Was the problem. They were going off of written material that was from 10 years ago practically on Duke Nukem Forever because they didn't bother to update the text.
The problem with Duke Nukem Forever is that it's just not a very good game, and they're ripping on games that are better than. True.
Yeah.
You can't make fun of Halo when Halo is better.
Another Valve puzzle.
You have to get your spelling right, or people are going to make fun of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the?
I'm talking about everything.
Planner?
I'm talking about you. All right, Steven.
Yeah, it's a cool game. I like it.
Okay, good.
There's not much more I can say, honestly, that everyone had said. Unfortunately, it's a bummer about the online that we had a less than stellar experience with it. But, if you're looking for an old school shooter, and it is old school, like the enemies do hit hard, you will run out of ammo. You will get lost searching for key cards and then searching for the door that you use the key card in. But yeah, it's neat to see everything they were able to do at the time and everything they were able to get away with at the time. A simpler time where you could get away with, you can have fun, tongue in cheek, bust some chops, have a good time. Can't get away with a lot of that now. But good game, good. It's just such a shame that it's so weird in this weird state of what version do you play? Do you play the one on consoles? Maybe those are more stable. Do you want to play them on computer? But can you get the right one? Because do you go to Steam and which one can you find? If you want to play a specific episode, is that episode on the one you can get now? Or do you have to pay, like you're saying, $100 for a random key? Like, it's unfortunate that, I don't know, does GOG have a ultimate version? I feel like maybe they don't.
GOG had the OG version. But it's not there anymore because they had to take it down. But they had the OG version before Megaton, and I owned that one too. But unfortunate that it's stuck in limbo, and the only version you can get right now is the Anniversary Edition, which is still fine.
Yeah, so. I mean, if you really want to be, fancy YouTube guy, like by all means, see if you can find the original CD-ROMs and play those because those I think are the best. I don't like the new lighting; it's unnecessary.
Yeah, you can switch to the old lighting in the 20th Anniversary Edition. There is a button that you just... I can't remember which one it is.
Is it in the options?
C.
Yeah.
C,
yeah, you just hit C.
Classic.
That'll take
I thought I looked, but I'll check again.
It's there.
Okay.
I recommend... Oh, go for it.
Sorry, I was just going to say that version gives me motion sickness, so I appreciated the 3D rendering. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yep.
I recommend that. I love the game, so I recommend people should play it. I think it is a must play. I don't know what Josh is talking about. It's not a must play. Of course, this is a must play. Come on. This is like top 3 first person shooters of all time. I think your top 3 are Doom, Half-Life, and Duke Nukem 3D. No other first person shooter that's come out since has topped those. in my opinion. Not even Half-Life 2.
Yeah,
I would just play Half-Life and Half-Life 2 over this.
Nope. I would play Half-Life, but not Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2 I love it, but it's got some slow parts in it.
Yeah,
Jumping
they're
on,
different. They're very different.
jumping on pieces of
Same
metal.
genre.
And herein lies the problem, because
You'll get a
First
different energy from this game.
first-person shooters almost has turned into their own subcategories now, like this and like the new Doom and stuff versus what Half-Life, which is more story-driven and not about, there's shooting in it, but it's not about circle strafing and big explosions and stuff like that. It's more story-driven. And then you have Halo, where it's, I don't know what you'd call that has vehicle combat and, I don't know, tactical, I don't know, whatever. So I guess
Casual
it's just
console game?
Yeah, casual.
Come on,
console.
Kevin.
So, but
I'm trying to get out of here, man. I don't want. I'm done.
And he's done. Okay, let's move on. Next question before.
Is this best played on PC?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Everyone says yes. I tried playing the Xbox 360 version. I almost vomited. Sorry, it's not fun with a controller. Mouse,
No
keyboard,
first-person shooter is good with the controller. My opinion.
I played with a controller.
Yeah, see, no, that's not right. That's probably why you weren't very good in multiplayer, because you were playing with a controller.
I was winning until it crashed.
That one game.
That one time you hit the kill switch.
awesome.
Oh, I crashed again. Darn.
Well, it was curious that as soon as I showed up, he left, and I didn't get to play him at all. So we'll see.
True. That's true too. That's
Okay.
true. And it wasn't even shooting. The click wasn't shooting guns. It was weird. Very glitchy. So for your question, Kevin, I would say it's better played on console simply because it's a more stable experience. But
Yeah, but you can't say that because you didn't actually play any multiplayer on console, so you don't know that for sure.
yeah, it all depends where you're trying to play.
I don't know. I would say get the 20th anniversary edition though if it's on sale, because the single player was still there. I think you could just get away though
That's all
with
you
playing
can
the.
get, right?
Yeah, but I mean the multiplayer side. I mean you're just gonna have to go in, knowing that the multiplayer is it's not very stable.
Sure.
But all the single player
Most
stuff
people
is
would say
there,
they'd
and
rather
it's still
shooter on PC versus console.
what?
I said I'm sure most people would say that they would rather play a first-person shooter on PC versus console.
Yeah, I mean that's what the genre was designed for at the start.
They're like
anyways.
pointing and clicking, so I mean, mouse.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Should there be more Duke Nukem?
If done,
I mean,
if
there
done
was-
right.
Yeah.
Because this is
If
because it's a very sensitive topic. Because if you tried this crap today, you're going to have people.
Well, they did.
Well, they did, but people were ripping on it for being a bad game versus being controversial.
Right.
But if you did actually make it a good game, but yet still,
Yeah.
can this version of Duke, like, if the old school action movie genre came back, and I guess you can say like John Wick's kind of like that and stuff like that, but if it became popular again, like it was with Rambo, like it was with Commando, like it was with all that stuff, if that genre all of a sudden came back and got popular again, then you could probably make another Duke Nukem, because then people would get it, because they'd be like, oh, you're making fun of that again or something. But the fact that that's not a trending thing right now it's people wanting to watch superhero movies and all this other stuff, it would be a very slippery slope to make a Duke Nukem 3D game that stays true to this Duke Nukem game, in my opinion. It'd have to be done right. I don't know how, but it'd have to be done right.
Well, yeah.
Honestly, the
because
game's
a lot
pretty
of the game
tame.
was
Let's be
social
real.
commentary. So,
But that's
if
just it. It's
reflecting
tame
on what's
by
going on.
ours. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Get some comedians to work on a new one. They got that cutting comedy tech. Bring that down on us. They make fun of Trump, make fun of coronavirus. All that good stuff.
Yeah, I think
I'd play
that's the main thing is that it has to be funny, right? Like people
Yeah.
will be forgiving of crass humor if it's funny. You got to
They've-
have a good punchline.
They've
And I think that's what-
wordsmithed it properly.
Right. I think that's another problem that Duke Nukem Forever had, is that it just was kind of regurgitating the same stuff. Like I think Bulletstorm is an example of a game that pulled off that kind of humor successfully because
Yeah.
it was funny.
Yeah.
So I think they could do it if, bring some comedians in to write some lines.
Who wrote
and
Deadpool?
make a fun game.
Yeah.
Who wrote Deadpool? Who wrote
Oh, there you go. Deadpool's a good example of that.
Yeah.
Like a over the top, crazy, ridiculous humor, and I think they would. Either way, they're going to have to tone down the misogyny, I think, a little bit for modern days. I think that would still get headlines and all this. They could have it in there, but maybe like one scene, and it's not. I think that I just think modern day people wouldn't like it or appreciate it as much. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
I think modern day people need to get some thicker skin. That's what I kind of say.
I mean, sure, but I just think that would get some marks against it now.
Yeah,
so if they had one scene where
I could see the articles, but
yeah,
again, it would just be people beating on a drum just for the sake of beating on a drum because they think
really like a lot of the stuff
beat.
that was written about Duke Nukem Forever, and even Bulletstorm got a little bit of it too. I mean, that was just people that were trying to make a little bit of noise, just for the sake of it. Maybe they legitimately didn't like it or whatever, but I mean, I don't know.
Bulletstorm's a great game. Don't make fun of it.
I'm not. I enjoy Bulletstorm immensely. I
need to get the full version of it. I've only played the demo of it, but I did enjoy it.
If I could go back to the
PS2.
question, I would say that Duke Nukem is done because it was a product of the time and it accomplished its mission. And if you want to do a spiritual successor, something that can, pick up that style of gameplay and they do it right, because again, that's the key, just do it right. You can update it and you can have it be raunchy and, tongue in cheek and everything, but everything has to change. The humor, the style, it has to fit a contemporary attitude, but you can still do it. But I think Duke Nukem, as you're thinking of him, that was 1996. That's done. Just let it be and bring something else out.
Well, a lot of people.
Son of Duke.
I got a follow-up question. If you were to make,
I've got to save my dad.
If you were to make a spiritual successor, would you like it in the like a modern day style, flashy graphics, big thing, or with this old engine? And
I've got to save my dad in VR.
Well, that's kind of what Ion Storm is. As a lot of people were saying that was a bit of a spiritual successor to Duke Nukem 3D, just with a female protagonist and not cut out some raunchy stuff. Because that's in the build engine. So that's kind of what that would look like. If you want to see what that was kind of what, then you have Ion Storm. Again, it has references to Duke in it, but has nothing to do with Duke. And so, but it's made in that vein, similar weapons, similar enemy types and tropes and stuff like that. So if you want to see something like that made in that kind of engine, then you got Ion Storm to look like.
Ion Storm, right? It was called Ion Maiden, and they had to change the name, right, to Ion Storm.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because
okay. Right.
Well,
because it was too much like Ion Maiden, Iron Maiden.
That was
going back to your question. I think you already kind of answered it with Bulletstorm. That basically took the Duke formula and modernized it a bit, but it was its own thing. It wasn't just trying to do what Duke Nukem did. It has the boot and it has the vulgarity, but it had a female character that was not, a kidnapped babe. It had its own unique storyline, its own series of characters and everything, but got some blood, got its own twists, had the leash and its own stuff. So you want to bring it back, you still have to, it's basically bringing back the charm and the style and the attitude, but you still need to make a new game.
Yeah. I great example, the new Doom games, Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, that has that same feel, frenetic pace of Doom, with the Doomslayer being kind of not giving a shit about anything, just let's go and just rip and tear everything. You could do that, but with Duke Nukem, bring that style of fast-paced shooter.
Make him a little more vocal.
Yeah, you could do Slayer. Yeah, that's true. But it could be him doing his quips, a little more modern day jokes, and then quoting, I don't know, what's a more modern day movie or whatever, and just blowing away aliens in San Francisco, but with modern day graphics. Be cool.
I think it would be good to have like a contemporary woke Duke who's
That would be
totally
funny.
politically correct, and all the enemies are raunchy and doing bad things, and he's running around just correcting them. It's like I don't want to kill you, but you're being offensive.
I would love
that-
it if
Interesting.
as you played, he slowly devolved into Duke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
Starts off as this family friendly, like, gosh, gee Williker, I can't wait to start my first day at EDF.
yeah, he's been brainwashed, and then like
Yeah.
the old Duke.
And
slowly
by,
gets
like, he
deprogrammed.
keeps having worse and worse things happen to him, and it just beats him down. And just like at the end of it, I need a beer and I need a stripper. You know?
Yeah, yeah. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Give
See,
me a
that's-
hell yeah.
See, like, there's ways to do it. Like, it could be done. It just needs some smart people in the room when they make the game.
Yeah.
Even the look of Duke is pretty passe by this point. Like when you see him in Duke Nukem Forever, even it's just like, oh no, the hair. It's rough.
It's Arnold. He's freaking
Pretty
Arnold.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
It's true.
It looks fine in like 2D cartoon, but when you try and
Yeah.
like make it more realistic, it's not great.
Well, that's why I kind of like the idea you were just joking, like, ooh, Duke's son. But it's like, pass the torch to another character set in the Duke universe. Like, maybe they have to live up to that legacy. Like, maybe Duke becomes a joke, like all that stuff was looked back at. He was badass then, but now he's washed up, and there's, someone else has to carry on that legacy or something. It could be a joke like that, like
The tricky
he's
thing-
washed up now, trying to relive his golden days, and there's like this young up-and-comer that's trying to get Duke to be like, hey, you used to be a badass. I want to be a badass like you, something like that. Kind of make a parody of that. Like, yeah, that worked in the 90s, but it won't now, and,
Yeah.
They
There's
should
even that.
make a Duke prequel, and we find out how he runs out of gum.
Oh no.
There you go.
That's it right there. That's the idea right there. That's a Star Wars idea
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, it
into
is.
the movie theater and watching.
Spoiler: he chewed it. God damn it.
Shoot it.
Way to go, Steven.
Under
but how
the
did-
other way. Start with
Why would you tell me that?
bring Duke Nukem into like present time, but he's in a nursing home, and then the aliens invade, and he's just got to fight his way out of the
He's
nursing
got a
home.
walker.
He's got a walker, and
No, the walker
every
is a
once in while
weapon. He has to upgrade to it. He eventually gets a scooter with a bazooka on it.
Yeah.
I mean, they brought back Wolfenstein, and they did a
Yeah.
really good job with that as well.
It's
I'm not a big fan of the second game, but that first one and the spin-off, they were pretty good. New Blood, Old
I
Blood,
liked them.
yeah.
Yeah, but everyone wants to shoot Nazis, so what are you gonna? Can't go wrong with that.
Okay,
I think they would
I think
need
we said
another
we're not
publisher
officially-
though.
okay, we're
That's the
yeah.
real-
Well, that's the big issue. Yeah, that's holding them
Yeah.
back for sure. Okay, we're done. That's it. I think we got it all. There's nothing
Ooh.
left to say. We said it
No.
all. Go
Pretty
play
good.
Duke. I demand it. Don't listen to Josh. He doesn't know what he's talking about. All
I
right.
still liked it.
He's young.
Yeah, but you
You
didn't,
didn't
like
like it as much as he likes it. That's the problem.
So that's it. Now we're at war. The line has been drawn
Wow.
here.
Josh is going to get demoted after this.
Vote or demote. We have to vote him out. We have to vote him off the island. Okay. Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Richard, for joining us.
Yes.
If people want to find you, do you feel like promoting yourself? Feel like giving yourself a plug?
Hot.
Hot?
Sure. You can
Go
check
for
me
it.
out at Catmax Gaming on
We'll
YouTube.
check you out.
That's please do. That's a lot of old content. It's if you like old content, I mean, look through the archives. There's plenty there, but you know how it is nowadays. It's a lot of work. Otherwise, I'll be socially distancing until the end of the apocalypse. You can check me out on Twitter at Stephen Eider, Stephen with a V, EIDHER. And I
All
won't
right.
be going to any thrift shops because they're all
Good. That's good.
They
Keep
stayed
you out of
open
there.
a long time though, Kevin.
Stay
I
strong.
was impressed how long they were open to.
That's because they were there for the poor people that need clothes. They said, okay, we'll leave it open for that. But then too many people are going in there looking for their stuff that they shouldn't be looking for. So then they
You might be
close
able
it
to find some secondhand toilet paper there, though.
Mm.
Well, on that note,
I want to
You-
see
you
you.
can
I want to see you dress up as a mummy for Halloween in some used toilet paper, Richard. That'd be good. Richard,
why is that out of
give us your plugs so we can sign off.
No. Nobody needs to find me.
All right, go find Richard at the Rambox on Twitter. Check him out on Discord. He's a huge Discord guy now. He's all over the Quick Save Club Discord.
He hates Duke, but he loves Discord.
All right. Thanks, guys. Okay, let's talk about Terraria, because that's going to be, for the next 2 months, what we will be playing is Terraria. I'm excited to get back into the world. I haven't played it. I think I checked on Steam. The last time I played it was 2017. So,
probably when I played it.
Yeah, that's the last time I played it too. Yeah,
it's takes a bit getting used to, but once you get used to it, it's pretty fun. And
so I'd like to set something up on the Saturday nights for the multiplayer. Is it like Minecraft where you got to set up a server, or
one person can host? And unfortunately,
I think you make a character and your inventory.
Make a character,
right?
And and the inventory sticks with you. And you can also eventually you can build a what's called a piggy bank or a safe, and that is for everyone. It's your inventory no matter what map you're on, as long as there's a piggy bank or safe there. Otherwise, normal chests and stuff that work. So what basically you do is who's ever hosting it, they own the map basically, and anyone can join them when they're playing. And so, but the person who's hosting the map has to be on basically. So I'm going to research servers a little more. I don't know how I'm going to this week with how my schedule is, and see if I could find a server that will always stay going. But I also recommend people starting their own maps. Start small to medium and playing within them, because there's a lot of experiences doing that as well. Plus, there's a thing with hearts. You have to find hearts in order to make your health higher. And if you have too many people on one map, you're not going to have enough hearts to go around. So it's always good to make sure you have your own maps to find hearts and other kind of stuff. So I highly recommend starting your own map, doing all that good stuff. I'm going to try making a custom map. I can try hosting whatever Saturday we pick. So it'll have a few things in it. I have a home base. It should have some NPCs already there. And everyone can just jump in, grab some supplies. If they're new, then they can maybe grab a few hearts or something, and then go on an adventure, either building something, fighting a boss, just digging, just messing around, fishing, whatever the heck you want to do. And so we just got to figure out what day it's going to be,
Well, yeah, that sounds cool. And we got 2 months. So
yes, we have 2 months, and how crazy things are. So
yeah. Well, let's aim for Saturday and hope for the best. And see what happens. Even if we're just playing on our own or whatever, and start some multiplayer thing or whatever, co-op thing or something. I cannot stress
this enough. Join our Discord. We're talking to ourselves sometimes when we say we're going to play online, but join our Discord. Keep an eye on it. If we're playing online, even if it's not Terraria, even if we're just going to play online, some other random thing, keep your eye on Discord.
Yes, absolutely. We might be playing some other games too. I don't know. It depends. My schedule was supposed to be open all this week, and then it got closed. So we'll see. It's supposed to be open the following week, but I don't know. Things have been changing. Everybody's life is kind of messed up right now. Some people have a lot of free time. Other people don't have as much free time, and I think we're all in the boat of not having as much free time as
for sure. Definitely.
I mean, you see some people, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this hobby, and I finished this thing, and I read this book," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's great.
Good for you."
Yeah, good for you. Like me and my wife's case, we're in the two professions that have to keep going out there. I'm at a grocery store, and she's a nurse. So
Yeah. Well, even my sister and brother-in-law, they're both working from home. But they have 2 young children, and there's no daycare right now. Yeah. So they're trying to work from home and take care of the kids, and they're finding themselves a lot more busy than,
usual.
So, yeah. So it's understandable. It's a crazy time, but we got 2 months to play this game, and hopefully
the perfect game to get your head out of all this and just dive into a fantasy world. Terraria is it. You can be whatever you want to be.
That's why we chose it, right? We knew this was going to happen. We knew this was coming.
Yes, we did. You want to be a mage, you can be a mage. You want to be a gun-toting badass like Duke Nukem, you can be a gun-toting badass in this game. You can just build, you can do whatever. Let's dive in and have fun, folks. And
it's not a very expensive game either, right? It's around $15 or something on Steam.
It's on sale all the time too.
Yeah, I mean,
all the time and get it for less than $10.
There will be a spring sale, I imagine, before the 2 months are up, that you'll be able to pick it up probably for $5-10. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah,
okay,
that will be fun. And are we still going to just do a random? What was our name for our stream? In between time stream?
Save Points video podcast.
Yeah,
podcast. Yes.
So that does not mean we're going to take 2 months off from the podcast. We'll still have one in between as well.
Well, this kind of is a good segue into our next major announcement, because our next episode will be not only, I think we should put it in both places. I think we'll put it here as a final episode. We will reiterate our announcement in that episode to give people time to adjust, because we are moving to a new location. So the next episode will be here, and it will be in the new location, and then the Terraria episode will be only in the new location. So this feed that you're listening to right now will come to an end for new episodes. The old episodes will still be here, but our new episodes are moving over to a new place. A new place that we have been invited to. I don't know. Am I allowed to give this announcement? You guys, I got to do the last one. I don't know if you guys want to do this one.
You have all the info. All right, go ahead.
I'll just say we've been invited to officially join the Cartridge Club. So the Quick Save Club will be on the Cartridge Club feed going forward.
Pretty excited about this. The one thing I was talking to them about is because I do the Cartridge Club podcast a couple times a year now, so I'm like, hopefully people don't get tired of hearing my voice over there. That's the one thing I was like, but it is what it is.
I did. What did I do? All four. I did our show, Quick Save Club. I did Cartridge Club. I did CC Portable, and RF Gen in 1 month, and nobody complained. I was surprised, at least not to my face. So if they're going to complain, Josh, it'll all be behind your back. You won't know about it anyways. So
sounds good,
right?
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
We'll do
the perception. People love us. That's all that we.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry. Yeah, we'll do that one save point where it's kind of like a in between or episode, basically. Right.
Limbo.
I mean, I'm not 100% sure if everyone's going to make it to the end of this episode to hear it. So I just want to, for the next episode, I want to make sure that we tell people like right off the bat at the start of the episode, moving. Yeah. So it doesn't come as too much of a shock. But yeah, this is an exciting move for us because, this will put more ears on the podcast. Is that how you say it? I guess.
Sure.
Not eyes, but more ears on the podcast. More people will be able to will be introduced to what we're doing here on the Quick Save Club, and it's a great launch for our season 2. Season 1 has been a blast. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a little bit of work sometimes, and that's why we're doing the 2-month thing now. But really looking forward to it, and looking forward to hopefully getting some new ears on the podcast, and hopefully everybody who's listening to us here will join us over on the Cartridge Club, because there's a lot of good stuff to listen to over there as well. We'll be on there with the Cartridge Club and CC Portable, and what else will be there? I guess the
Hangouts.
Hangouts, that's the other one. Yeah, you'll be on Hangouts as well too.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I would be doing Hangouts most of the time. I'll be.
Yeah, maybe we will get tired of you. I don't know. I'm starting to rethink this.
Maybe.
I'm the only one that does one podcast.
Sorry, yeah, that's it. Wow. I kind of envy you a little bit, Ryan. I wish I only did one podcast sometimes.
So the only thing I have time for is one podcast.
I hear you. Yeah.
But this will be fun. This will be an exciting new chapter for us.
Oh, and also I do want to mention that this feed will stay live. So if you haven't played one of the games we already talked about, Season 1 will be here and live on this feed no matter what, in perpetuity, because it's on archive.org. So And not saying it'll happen, but hey, if something happens to the Cartridge Club and we need to come back to this feed will always be here. And yeah, so if you haven't played Planescape Torment or whatever, and you haven't listened to that episode, the episode's still going to be there for you. And we still have the YouTube channel where I'm going to upload the audio podcast as well. Still.
Yeah, if you listen to us on YouTube, nothing's changing. You're still
yeah, it's still good. So
the links on the bottom might be different. That's about it.
I'm probably going to have to go through and change all those, but that's okay.
But the other exciting thing too is that we've been introducing these PC games to a lot of Cartridge Club members, and like Dean is a perfect example of that, who's gone full on the PC and played many of the games that we've played. And
I think he's played every one of them now. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like anyone that he's missed, he seems to go back and play. So that's great. And that's really why we do this, because we want to call attention to these games. Because console players, they get stuck with their consoles. They look at that PC and they look at it as work sometimes. And we want to say like, hey, there's some fun here. Check this out. So it's good.
And so far, I think we've done a pretty good job of picking games everyone can play on their PC, even if it's a junker. I don't think we've done anything that's too graphically horrendous,
intense or anything. Yeah, no, like you want to make it.
Terraria, you can play on anything. You can play it on your phone.
You can play it on your phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know if if somebody wants to play Terraria on a console or a phone, would they still be able to join our server like they could with Minecraft? Do you know?
I'm not sure if there's cross-play, although you can.
So.
Yeah, there's no cross-play.
Okay.
But yeah, you can get Terraria on all the consoles as well.
I don't recommend it.
PC first, though. Yeah. However, it is perfectly capable of playing using a controller. It is very controller-friendly if you must. I know. I'm just
completely
saying,
disagree with that. That game plays like crap on console. That's one game I will not play on console.
Depending on the class you're playing, aiming is a pain in the butt with it if you're playing like one of those things. But if you're just doing a melee class or something like that, you're completely fine. But I'm saying, just to make people comfortable, you can start with that, and then you can work your way to your keyboard if you're that scared. Yeah.
Well, it has a cursor, and the cursor is basically designed for the mouse pointer, and then you have to use it with your thumbstick, and it just doesn't work.
I'm trying to ease people into it. I have a lot of passion for this game, a lot of passion, and this is one of my favorite games of all time. So it's one of those games where I want people to be comfortable. It can be daunting to get into these games. It's like Minecraft. It's kind of daunting because you go in, what do I craft? What do I do first? That kind of stuff. It's luckily there's a guide that's there that you can talk to that kind of eases you into stuff. But
don't be afraid of wiki pages too.
Yes, wiki pages is very helpful.
Yeah, it's just like Minecraft as well. Minecraft is unplayable without the wiki stuff. So yeah,
you can figure it out without it. You can figure it out. It'll take you a little more time. So
yeah, and who has time? Well, you got 2 months, I guess. So
you got 2 months.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it. I think we said it all. We did our Duke Nukem. We talked up Terraria. We did our major announcement. That's it for another month.
Yeah, I'm excited about the announcement. Yeah, I'm ready for the future. It's gonna be a good time. Season 2. This is a season finale. We did a whole year of this.
Yeah.
We forgot to mention it. We did that.
Well, we kind of talked about it at the end of the last episode. I think we gave ourselves a pat on the back already. So I don't know. I
got all emotional.
We did. I got emotional.
Besides Kevin.
Crying, blubbering.
I was crying on the inside. Right on the inside. Yeah. And next month this will be the first episode of our save point. So that's going to be fun to do with you guys and see how that goes. No guess.
Experimental at first, huh? On that one.
Yeah. No. Let's just do it ourselves. No guess on that one. I guess we're kind of annoying in this one. So it was kind of
annoying.
I'm kidding. No, they were fun. It was all.
There was a lot of multiple people. I think 2 guests is a little much at times when everybody has something to say.
Yes, 5 people doing a podcast. I'll say it always goes that way, and it goes long. People have things. That's why I had to cut it short, because I could tell we were going down avenues of. I guarantee you, Steven would have went through every single level if we let him, and I had to cut it short. That was not happening. All right, that was good. It was good fun, and I think that's it. I think we can crash your computer.
Crash your computer.
Catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Come get some. It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum. And I'm all out of gum. Let God sort him out. Shit happens. You're pissing me off. Your face, your ass. What's the difference? Who wants some? See you in hell. You talking to me? My gun's bigger than yours. Get that crap out of here. Son of a bitch! Hail to the king, baby. Don't have time to play with myself. Don't get your panties all in a bunch. I'm gonna get medieval on your asses. Ooh. That's gotta hurt. Holy shit. I ought to break a broom handle off in your ass. Now I'm really pissed off. Damn. You're ugly. Holy cow. Die, you son of a bitch. Say hello to my little friend. Have a taste of my ball. Blow it out your ass. Eat shit and die. Quit wasting my time. Damn, I'm good.